Good morning to everybody. Morning. So, first of all, welcome to all of you to this wonderfully curated all-day event on the lines of the Natyakala conference. Kudos to Ganesh and Kavita for envisioning this. And can I request a little more light in the audience, please? I would love to see them when I talk. Thank you. So I am extremely honored that they asked me to speak today. I wish it was singing, but so that's what I'm going to talk about, is how singing and dancing are related, go hand in hand. They complement, they supplement, they implement sometimes the emotional connect between the dancer and the musician. Since the topic given to me was music and the musician with dance and the dancer, I thought I'll split it into two parts, basically, music and dance. So music and dance, as you all know, they live together. One cannot do without the other, whether you are a musician or a dancer. You may be wondering why I say that. As a dancer, you are basically, without the support of the lyrics or the lyrics being tuned to a melody, it'll be more of a mime. And since dance is such an audio-visual art form, music is an integral part of dance. And as a singer, for dance especially, which I have been doing for over 3 decades now, and have had the opportunity to work with some of the best when I started my career as a singer for dance, likes of having seen Rukmini Devi ji Atte work with music, with the likes of Alarmel Valli, Malavika Sarukai, Anita Ratnam, Lakshmi Vishwanathan, my mother-in-law Srimati Ranganaiki Jayaraman, all in India, I realized that as a singer, I had to dance along with the dancer. I know many of you have watched or heard Sethuraman sir, Madureti Sethuraman Company. You don't have to watch him. You can hear the dance in his voice. That expressiveness is something which every musician brings to the stage when they are singing along with a dancer. And that is extremely crucial to the quality of the dance. Because if the dancer is trying to emote, to show some expression, and if the musician, through the lyrics, through the voice, through the ragam, through the bhavam, is unable to go along parallel with that emotion, the effort and the artistic capacity of the dancer does not come to the forefront. So it is a double responsibility of the musician to at least come to the same level. And that's why it's the relationship of a musician and a dancer is extremely important. Those days, I felt that, the dancers had a regular set of musicians they worked with. Not because it was a favoritism or anything, but because I think the musician did understand the thought process of that dancer. They worked whether they had a show or not. Whether it was never performance-oriented, unfortunately, which has become the case these days. I'm sure you all agree, everything is performance-oriented these days. But those days, the relationship, I'm talking about 3 decades ago, as well, even when I used to work with Valli Akka, whether there was a concert or not, we did meet, we would discuss, there would be analysis, you would break up and you would totally try to go in slow motion and understand the emotion, what the dancer wanted to convey, how the music would be elevating that thought process of the dancer. So that relationship is extremely important. And I would like to say at this point is, for a dancer, knowledge of music is very, very, very key in their expressing, in their projecting the song or the emotion. For instance, if they had to pick the songs for the items for a regular margam, whether it be a margam those days, when traditional form, I'm talking about the traditional repertoire, is to keep in mind that they were aware that you would not place a Mohanam or a Hamsadvani right next to each other. At least that basic knowledge of music has to be there to avoid allied ragas, to avoid similar ragas to be placed next to each other, to avoid raga malikas back to back. You know, these are things, because it's such an audio-visual art, it's important that the dancer does look out for these small things of picking ragams, of picking items, picking talams, which give a variety, just as a vocal musician or a concert musician would do while selecting the pieces for a music concert. So that's why it was, I think it was believed in a few decades ago. I'm feeling kind of old here looking at the youngsters in the audience. It was implied that every dance teacher taught music, every dancer learned music. In my experience with singing for Alarmil Valliyaka, I remember we used to go together to Brindama's house and learn the padams. There was no need for Valli to learn the padam to sing. It's not like she was going to go on stage and perform, but the fact that she knew the pace of the song, she knew how the ragam flowed, she knew, like for instance, the Yattai Kandini, the classic padam. Muktama would sing it as, not Yattai Kandini Kundai. That was not the pace. It was a challenge for the dancer and the musician as well. The pace that she taught us was, Yattai Kandini Kundai Magale. So to hold the abhinaya at that pace, not just for the dancer, but to hold the whole melodic phrase for the singer, was equally challenging. So slow is not boring, if I may say that. Because speed is so enticing, but slow is difficult. Slow motion is extremely difficult because good, bad, ugly, everything comes to surface. It's a challenge. So slowing down was very hard. And especially singing the padams and the javlis, learning from those stalwarts was an experience in itself. And that's when I realized how important the role of music, the knowledge of music, the experiencing of music for a dancer was crucial, and vice versa. When it comes to the music and the musician and the dance, the musician, the role of a singer for a dance performance is you're sitting on a double-edged sword. First, you have to do justice to your style, your art form that you're practicing, that you're singing. And even more difficult is, you are a supporter, you are a pakavadyam, you are the person given the additional responsibility of enhancing the work of the dancer which is being presented on stage, right? Because if the dancer is showing, say, Karunya Bhava, the singer should not be screaming on the top of her or his voice in a tone which does not reflect, which does not at all supplement or complement what that abhinayam is all about. So it is the responsibility of the musician to understand the subtleties, understand the nuances, understand the choreography to a certain extent, and emote accordingly. What the dancer emotes through abhinaya, through physical movement, the musician has to emote through lyrics, through melody, through bhava of the voice, bhava of the lyric, bhava of the chosen ragam that the song is. Like, there have been occasions where we hear, in a varnam itself, when the dancer is performing the Sanchari Bhava for the varnam, the dancer is actually weaving a story. There are so many dancers here. I am not the authorized person. I don't have any authority to say what I'm saying. But from what little I have understood, in the varnam, when the dancer is weaving a story, which is called Sanchari Bhavam, instead of repetitively singing the same melodic line again and again for maybe 2.5, 3 minutes, it becomes boring, because we all know Bharatanatyam, any dance form, is an audiovisual art form. So it is the responsibility, creative responsibility for the musician to do their sanchari through manodharmam, which is extemporizing through the very, very difficult form of niraval, which we are all familiar with. There is no rule which says that the singer should not do niraval or sanchari bhava, musical sanchari bhava, to complement the sanchari of the dancer. So we have to watch. The responsibility of the musician is to watch what the dancer is doing, not just look at the paper. The paper is just there for you for reference, like what I have here to look at my notes here. But she or he has to dance along with the dancer. If the dancer is showing a deer hopping, we could definitely complement that with neraval, kind of sounding like a little jumpy movement. We could do that. Right? For instance, the very famous Daruvarnam. Shyame sakala bhuvana sarva bhaume. If the dancer is doing a sthai bhava, standing in a position in the same spot, and I cannot do Shyame, I shouldn't do that. The singer should not do that. Because you are basically, first of all, the audience is in a trance looking at the dancer. And if suddenly they hear this sound from the side, which is coming like a big, like attack, it breaks the trance, it breaks the moment, it breaks the thought process of that choreography. So it's important, it's a responsibility of the musician to go along hand in hand, hopefully enhance the music, but definitely not mar the choreography there. So that's an extreme important thing that every musician for the dancer needs to keep in mind. And as a practicing Carnatic musician, where I have had to balance both performing concerts and singing for dance, which I both enjoy, fortunately or unfortunately, I have had multiple more opportunities in this country to sing for dance, and I'm really grateful to all the dancers and all the dancing fraternity for which I have been involved with. It's not easy. Both are equally difficult. When I am performing a solo concert, I am in charge. I decide what I want to sing. I decide which kriti I want to sing. I decide what talam I want to sing, where I want to do neraval, which pakavadyam I'm going to have join me on stage. Everything is in my control. But when I am accompanying a dancer, I, as the musician has to respect the choice of the items, choice of the songs, choice of the pakavadyam, and learn to work along, because the musician's job is to enhance the music side of the performance. Whether it is a margam, whether it is an arangetram, where the responsibility of the singer is to support the child who's ascending the stage for the very first time, not intimidate that child, but be supportive of that child, because whatever she or he is doing is memorized at that point. But you have to give the credit to the child, and it's the job of the orchestra, of the musicians, to support that. The next thing I want to say is the musicianship, which is key to composing. When we talk about composing music, whether it is traditional stuff or thematic productions, or like I'm talking about themes which are very don't have lyrical support. These days the trend is to think of topics which do not have any books or references, that you have lyrics which you can set to music, where you have to still present. You're dependent on the musicians, on the orchestra, to talk about a very random subject. What is the responsibility of the musician? At that point, we have to sit with the dancer. If you have to talk about, say, nature, the storm, the tornado, the tsunami, what are you going to do? There are no poems, there are no lyrics, there is only prose written on these. How do you project? At that point, you have to work with the dancer and figure out how you can convey using the right melodies, right ragams, understand the choreography. You also have to contribute to the choreography with the rhythmic compositions, with the help of the rhythmic accompanists, percussionists. And at the same time, understand the core of the concept that they are trying to show. Especially without lyrics, it's extremely hard to choreograph, to compose something, because you're so dependent on non-lyrical music that you have to really, it's a challenge for us to do that as a musician, to have the concentration, or we have to catch the attention of the audience, because lyrics really aid you in connecting with whatever you're watching. That's why there is this thing that, I don't understand the language, so we won't go to that concert. Just like we say music is a universal language, so is dance. They are just using their hands instead of the voice. So it is a job of the musician as well, when they are composing music for an abstract theme, to do it in such a way that they are able to catch the attention, keep the attention, and the audience interacted and interested in the complete project. It's so easy to just say, oh, the production was, sometimes we hear that the dancer was great, the music wasn't, or vice versa. So composing music really, really, really is something which cannot be done overnight. The musician and the dancer have to sit together, understand, and it's key for the dancer to first be able to lay out her ideas and then get it transposed by the musician to present the final product. One last thing I would like to wrap up is, just for, I don't know how many musicians are here, but as a singer and the fraternity of singers who do sing for dance, there is this stigma attached to these vocal musicians, instrumentalists, percussionists of the dance art form, that they are sort of not capable to perform proper Carnatic music traditions, which is a myth. Because as a musician, they do the same neraval, they do the same ragam alapane. Yes, they do not do kalpanaswarams, but with the thematic productions on abstract, we also do that. Tanam has been incorporated of late. Ragam Tanam Pallavi is becoming a very featured item in dance choreographies these days. So it is not below par. It is definitely not monotonous. It is definitely not easy. I repeat that. It is definitely not easy to sing for dance. And it is definitely not lesser quality for a musician to be performing for dance. It is just an additional test to their creativity. It is definitely an additional feather to their cap that they are able to do both. So it's an art form which is to be mutually respected, because dance and music go hand in hand. They are interdependent, they are inter-contributing, they are, just like you say, Bhava Raga Tala is Bharatanatyam. Bhavam, there is also Bhavam in music. Definitely there's Ragam in music, and there is Talam in music. So Bharata does not just stand for dance, it stands for music as well. Thank you.